From project reviews to incredible interviews, along with the general things in Web3, Craigos Crypto Corner covers the space in a fun and engaging way. We dive in so our listeners can conceptualize, plan, strategize, and implement their very next move. We are quickly becoming a platform that enriches and supports the overall foundation of Web3. In order to grow, you need your voice to be heard. If you have infinite curiosity, then Craigos Crypto Corner is just for you. Come join us. Come join us.
You're tuning into Craigos Podcast, the best in Web3, blockchain, NFT, and cryptocurrency technologies. Incredible reviews, great interviews with the leading people in the Web3 ethos, and just the general things Web3. Today's guest is Paxton Powers, Chief Technology Officer at CoinZoom, US-based cryptocurrency exchange and fintech platform focused on bridging traditional finance and real-world crypto utility. Paxton leads CoinZoom's global technology strategy, building a secure and scalable infrastructure while developing products like the CoinZoom Visa debit card and ZoomMe, a zero-fee cross-border payment feature available in more than 169 countries. With over 20 years of experience at the intersection of finance and technology, Paxton helped build a futures trading platform that was acquired by CQG in 2001. He has since held key leadership roles at Interbank FX, Excelia, and Damo. And in 2021, his work earned national recognition and was named a finalist for Ernst & Young's Entrepreneur of the Year. Welcome, Paxton. How are you, my friend?
Doing great. Thanks for having me on, man.
It's great to have you in the space. So I just want to start it off with this first question because I think it's really simple. When did you hear the words and who did you hear it from? CoinZoom.
So I think first time I heard that word was actually from Ben. So I think you had him on a couple weeks ago, and Ben Crosland was the wizard, I think, that came up with the term CoinZoom. So that was back in probably 2017, early 2018 when we were kind of building the concept of what we wanted to do. So
that's awesome. And so you handle from the back end all the technology. You're the one that manages kind of everything from, and I guess let's start off on, I just today sent some Solana. I sent some Zoom token to a couple different friends, no fee. I was just able to just send it for free within this. Talk to me a little bit about the ZoomMe feature and why it is so powerful as a remittance tool worldwide.
Yeah, I think what ZoomMe does a lot is it allows you to send, microtransactions that don't make sense in other places, especially on some of the more expensive chains like Bitcoin. It does things off chain. And so it helps us be able to say, if I want to send you $10 in Bitcoin, I could do that on chain, but it would be probably either slow or expensive, or maybe a little of both. But with ZoomMe, we can do that instantly. And that also helps us kind of do this cross-border stuff that we've been working on, where I can have a friend in, Australia or, wherever, and send them money. We've got our development teams in New Zealand. Those guys are amazing. We can send them money just as easy as I can send you money. So,
yeah, I mean, instantaneously, it happens in moments because I like to give away some of my Zoom token. Talk to me a little bit about the Zoom token. As when Todd Crossland had come on, he said he compared that Zoom token is basically, it's sort of like frequent flyer miles in a Web3 space where you have people who collecting different tokens, as we say, packing our bags. Frequent flyer miles. How does that work? And what are your thoughts long-term for the Zoom token?
Yeah, so the Zoom token is a true utility token. We went to pretty great lengths to make sure it stayed that way, especially in the regulatory environment that we've just coming out of. That was pretty important to us, that we didn't get in trouble with regulators and the SEC, trading securities. And I think Zoom, it is an ERC20 token. It's on Ethereum. It's been out there since the beginning, and we're trying to build more value in the Zoom token in different utilities. Like when you order your debit card with it, you need to have some Zoom. So that's kind of usually people's first introduction to Zoom itself. But then from there, you can use it for trading discounts on other fees on the platform, and that's what we want. I think that'll continue to grow. We'll add other utilities to it in the future that I'm just not thinking of right now.
No, that was fantastic because just another example. The other day, I was able to swap for what I got some USD for Ethereum, and it asked me, "Do you want to pay with the Zoom token?" And I think it cut down on the overall fee, so it reduced that. Plus, I paid in the Zoom token, so I paid a fraction of what I would have paid normally if I hadn't. And I believe that cost maybe was $5 versus it would have been 10 at that particular time. So I paid that in my Zoom token. So I love the fact that, say frequent flyer miles, I want to say that it is the value token on the platform being able to be used for multiple things. You can also cash it out into USD and use it to buy different things in that regard. You said it's an ERC20 token, so obviously it's an Ethereum based token, but you can only have that token for right now within the app. Is that correct?
That's where most of them are. You can withdraw Zoom and put it in your own wallet somewhere else if you choose to. I don't, there's some Zoom out there. If you look on chain, you can see that. Um, but most people use it on chain because that's where the utility is.
That's where the
And
value is.
there is a finite amount of them. So we're hoping that people that join in early and stuff that they also get some rewards out of kind of being an early adopter and stuff like that. So
Good. And by the way, we've got looks like we've got over 400 people in our YouTube channel. Not a lot tonight in our X, which is fine. So it allows us to create more of this video content. So we appreciate it. To everybody who's in the space, thank you so much for tuning in. If you want to hop over to YouTube, doesn't matter either way. I'm looking forward to this in this engaging conversation. So the Visa debit card. Now I have the black card, so I'm earning 5% back. Talk to me about from your end as the chief technology officer, what planning had to go in to not only the partnership with this incredible company, Visa, which I think is 130 million merchants worldwide, right? That I can utilize in real time any of my crypto around the world. How did this partnership come together? And from a technology standpoint, surface level, because remember, we're not at the helm of technology like you are. How does this all work? How does this all interconnect together?
yeah, so it really came from an idea at Interbank FX where Todd and I worked together. Um, we had a debit card linked to your foreign exchange trading account, and people used it there and kind of liked it. So when we first started talking about CoinZoom, we just assumed that we got to do the same thing because people loved it. And so that's where the origins came from. And then the real wizardry to make it all happen is, our software engineers are the smartest guys I know, and they just figured out how to plug this real world feed of crypto and liquidity providers and everything into our order book so that when you swipe your card, you're actually getting a good price for your crypto you're selling. It's not a delayed order book or anything like that where we have to hedge risk and stuff like that. We can go out and get the very best bid on your spend transaction that there is out there. And so it's really being able to do that very fast and efficient is key to what makes that work and work well for us. We don't have to have the risk, and for the customer, they get the best price. They get more bang for their crypto when they spend it.
Yeah, I noticed that. Went onto a Dex the other day. Wanted to pick up this meme token that's part of our boys club meta on Ethereum, and I got hit with a heavy fee. Now, mind you, I'm playing in DeFi.
Yep.
Coming over into your world and into TradFi, it's a little bit different. There's more balance. There's more to it that allows, I want to say, safer process, safer transactions. So you're able to move a little bit with more ease, sort of like if you logged in your bank account. So you talk to someone who knows nothing about crypto, and they've heard that you're the chief technical officer of CoinZoom. What would be your first words to them? Like, where would you steer them or recommend that they go and look to understand and educate themselves? And what does that look like from your end?
For me, I always like to start with the original with Bitcoin. Like if you understand Bitcoin and what it how it was built and how it evolved and what it does, then the rest of the ecosystem will come along. But if you don't understand Bitcoin, then you're missing out on the foundation. And so, Bitcoin standard is like start there. Like if you can, go through that book and understand what's there, it really spells it out for you. Um, yeah, so that's probably where I typically point people.
No, I love that. I think that's really important. You know, I remember when Todd came on, it was probably like last month, and we were having this conversation about the two most spent cryptos. Do you know the number two? I know you do. The number two crypto blew my mind that people are spending this crypto in their CoinZoom account. Do you know which one that is?
I think it changes, but Tether's number one. Number two, I believe XRP's been up there a couple times. I haven't looked this month, so
No, no
I got
worries.
to be
I
careful.
didn't want to put you. But could you believe it's Bitcoin?
Yeah, I,
I,
that one surprised me a little bit because it's out there, but it's also you kind of want to hang on to your Bitcoin.
Right. Exactly. I I always just I've been creating a lot of these videos because I want people to get really excited. I was having this conversation again in a space just today about the challenges between centralization and DeFi and sort of how they're blurred. And you and I were talking about this a little bit before you came on. And I was saying that in order to attract more people, you have to make it easily accessible. So somebody comes up to you and they say, "Okay, I know that were part of creating this incredible US regulated crypto exchange, which is nothing to balk at." And we'll talk about regulation in a second and why that's really important. But from your end, how do how do you say to somebody, "Okay, you want to sign up and you want to start to utilize it?" What would be the first three steps that you would recommend to somebody if they're wanting to get involved with CoinZoom?
Yeah, obviously, you need to sign up and register your account. And you know, we've always from day one made people go through the standard kind of KYC process, which in the early days, most of our competitors were just, hey, sign up with an email address and you're off to the races. We felt the regulators would not like that, and I personally thought they would come sooner and not allow that. But obviously they were delayed, and that wasn't the reality we lived in. But because we've always done that, it helped us with things like Zoomy. We felt comfortable in being able to send transactions internationally because we know the guy on the other end or the girl. We know who they are, and so we felt comfortable being able to allow people to do that. So first thing is obviously you got to sign up, but then you got to buy something, whatever you want to do, because until you have $50 and kind of skin in the game, you're not going to pay attention to it. So even before you go read the Bitcoin standard, I would say go buy $50 in Bitcoin, and then now you've got some incentive, and it'll light a fire under you to learn more about what you're seeing. Um, so that's usually where I would start people.
Crypto Bull Ron and I were talking about, and he's a big believer in CoinZoom. He was the one that brought me towards that. And we say Bitcoin standard. Is that what does that say? The high altar of crypto, right? Is that what that says? I'm looking
That's
right
right.
there. Yeah, what's up, Fee? I agree, right? Why would you spend the gold? You wanna hold on to that. I
Yep.
was having a conversation with Ron, and we were talking about the difference between debit and a credit card. Debit card, it's sort of, I think that's sort of the advantage. If you can plan in advance and have a certain set amount of money, you're spending down. With a credit card, you're spending up, and then at the end of the month, you're left with this big bill. What I love is that now that I'm starting to use my CoinZoom Visa debit card for everyday use, for just basic expenses, the gas, the groceries, and I share this a lot in these short videos because it's important. It's also allowing me personally to be more financially responsible, but at the same time, I'm earning that 5% back, which I think is really powerful. In your day-to-day life, because I'm assuming you use the CoinZoom Visa debit card,
Oh yeah.
how do you use it, and what are some key features that you have created that really stick out that you think a user should know about?
I think biggest thing there is using it every day. Kind of helps you, especially if you've got maybe some profits that you want to take off the table. You can select the coin that hey, I've done well here, and that could be some of the altcoins we support, Doge or whatever. Um, you can say, let's take some profit off the table, and you can do that in kind of a nibble at it way, rather than like, well, I'm going to sell it, and then you got to guess, well, I just sold it, but now it just spiked another 5%, which
Right.
kind of sucks. So it's almost the reverse of dollar cost averaging. You can kind of ease your way out of some positions, and you still get to enjoy that. And it's always nice when it spikes up. You're like, oh, my coins that I'm spending go further.
100%. I mean, I've sent crypto from my DeFi wallet to my CoinZoom account, and it's
Mhm.
been great. It's in there. I can spend in real time. I can then convert that crypto from, say, Solana to USD. So it's very easy, very quick to do that. I can then also invest more back into my Zoom token if I so choose. I can then at checkout select if I want to pay in Ethereum, the Trump token. Probably wouldn't do it with memes in specific. By the time I bring it over into CoinZoom, it's just maybe a user tip from my end. I don't want to spend in memes. At that point, I've taken whether it's Ethereum, profit in Ethereum, and I brought it over. And then I'm converting, into something a little more stable. So that way I can know tomorrow that the $100 I have in profit is sitting there, nice, safe, and sound.
Yep.
You
Yeah,
know,
yeah. If a meme kind of falls out of favor, obviously might want to dump it, and that's a good way to do it. But yeah, you can being able to select the currency you want to spend in, I think, is a really powerful feature because we take care of all the conversion and the heavy lifting and all that stuff behind the scenes, and just do it lightning fast.
Yeah, and I love the difference between the PC going on the computer where you can pull up reports, you can set dates. I've done that. It's very, from my end, user friendly. What was sort of the idea, and I say UX, user experience, when you were kind of mapping that out, the difference between the app and the PC version? What was sort of the similarities, but where are the big differences that someone would want to go to their PC to look at their stuff?
Yeah, I think you kind of hit the nail on the head. If you're going to do like more detailed reports, like year-end stuff, you go to the browser where you've got more screen real estate. Um, and it's been interesting to watch over the last several years. We've gotten more and more people are just on the mobile. Our mobile app's been made over two major revisions now, and I think it's gotten super fast, super streamlined. I think I'm really happy with where we've gotten it there. The web interface is still more utilitarian. At some point, we might give it a facelift, but that hasn't been the priority for us right now.
More users, and we've got users across the world. How many users to date do we have approximately?
I think the last number I saw was north of 500,000 or so that were
That's
on the
incredible.
platform.
That's incredible. All over the world, spending for
Yeah,
different
yeah,
things.
yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
go
more countries than I even knew existed. And the really fun thing is watching, the people spend money all over the world. Like, again, countries I never even really heard of will see transactions pop up where somebody has traveled, to, you know, different countries and they're using their card, at an ATM or going to a restaurant or hotel or,
yep.
all over the place. So it's that I think is super fascinating to see that happen. And then to see customers onboard from other locations like that and start to use their card as well is really fun.
That's incredible. And customers in 170 countries from the CoinZoom account. By the way,
Yeah.
we've got a little under, it looks like about 500 plus people in the YouTube channel. We've got a little under 200 people in the X channel, which is great to see. Digi, what's up? I actually sent him 1,000 Zoom tokens today. Shabbat, put in your Zoomy handle. I'll send you. I'm going to send you 500 tokens. Just want to have a little fun in here. I see Kios, Flow Fun, Jared, GM, my friend. Good to see you. It's so funny that the culture of Twitter is sort of like we say the streets. It's sort of the incubator of getting people who get to test and really see the technology early on. And that's what's really been for me as a content creator, but someone really wanted to promote good products in the space. That's been probably one of the most exciting things to see both on the DeFi and on the TradFi end. And I love sort of that intermix from your end. And maybe I can pull from you a little bit, right? Are there any upcoming features that you could share concerning the Zoom token, if there are any? I mean, again, we're loving it. The fact that it's lower fees when I'm, buying or selling crypto, when, I'm exchanging anything out. It's been great. It's reduced my costs quite considerably. Like I said the other day, it cut my cost by half. And then also at the same time at checkout, I'm getting 5% back. And
Yeah.
so actually with that 5%, over these months to come, I'm just, kind of sharing those gains with people in the community. I really want to get them engaged and get them starting to use the CoinZoom Visa debit card. But anything's on the Zoom that you can share, Zoom token at all that you could share with our
Yeah,
community?
I don't know that we have any new features, but what we see happening, and we really like this is, you know, as you noted in my intro, it's like we come from a trading background, high frequency, high volume trading, and our platform supports that. Like I said, the way that our engineers have built the platform, the way that our order book works, um, the real magic there is being able to take, a internal order book of customers that we have a finite amount of customers, as I mentioned earlier, but blend those with institutional liquidity, so you can move a lot of trading volume through the platform, and our quotes will just refresh because our depth of market is there. Um, when you're trading at high volumes, the fees you pay are exceedingly important, because that can make the difference between making money and losing money. And so being able to use the Zoom token to do high volume trading and get, a 50% discount on your trading fees is huge. Because like I said, that a lot of times that fee or that spread makes the difference between making money or not.
Yeah, I tested it out in real time. So one transaction I did where I paid in my crypto, and then the other transaction I did in Zoom, and I literally did them back to back. And that's again how I came up with that half fee. So I'm always willing to spend a little money to like
Yeah.
learn these fun little lessons, so long as they're safe. And I always say to security protocol is everything. And I do want to talk to you a little bit about KYC process and why it is so incredibly important, because I've had a number of friends that have signed up, some family members, getting the wife on board. It hasn't been easy, Paxton. So maybe you have some offline advice on getting the missus. I mean, basically, she just goes, "Give me your card." That's it. Like, I'm like, but that's not. You're defeating the point. So we're working on my wife. If I can get my wife, I've achieved
You
success.
get her signed up, you get her a card, you Zoom me some money, and she goes to the store and spends. That gets her hooked.
Absolutely. No, she loves all that's going on in this space. And slowly but surely I'm winning her over. And I'm like, no, there's a balance here. There's real big companies coming in. We were talking, and then, we'll talk a little bit about the KYC, but, I said, how much further can Bitcoin go up? Like, where's this going to go? And you mentioned the words ETF, which we'll come back to, but it's unpredictable. And maybe I want to, from your end, you being so heavily involved over the past 20 years in fintech, you might have some insight for us, which again, I say the alpha comes in all various forms, but when you're sitting in a space or you're watching on YouTube, people are plotting and strategizing for their next moves. And I can't blame them. I always say next moves in Web3, but well beyond that, we want to create wealth for ourselves. Let's talk about KYC, right?
Okay.
So I say to my friends, guys, it takes 3 minutes or less, and it just verifies that it's you. Why is that KYC process now, especially with this administration, things are a little loose? Todd's feeling more bullish. Ben's feeling more bullish. I assume you are too. Why is that so incredibly important, the KYC process?
If you want to operate in the U.S. and not get in trouble, you have to do it. It actually, most of the major countries in the world, um, you just have to do it. You're not going to be able to stay operating. So that's the number one reason for us. It's important. And we want to have good people on our platform as well. We don't want the bad guys on either. And if we can identify them early on, and it's crazy what people try to do to spoof them, and AI's playing a part, and we're seeing some crazy stuff. But um, yeah, that's the number one thing, is we want people to be there, and we want to be in business and be able to provide these services. Like, you can't do a deal with Visa like this if you don't do that. There's no way, if you're not doing KYC, you're not going to get a debit card.
Right.
And,
And
the
that's
debit card's the bridge. Like, you've mentioned DeFi a few times. At some point, we'll be able to go to a merchant and use our DeFi wallet to pay them and do all the stuff. And but we're not there yet, and it's going to be a more than a minute before we get there.
you had I think it was and that's the challenge right there. What you just said right there, that is the challenge, is that it's getting people to take those steps, because nobody has a problem signing up or just downloading say a MetaMask wallet, right? And writing down their 12-word seed phrase or their 12-word seed phrase, 24-word seed phrase, putting it away, losing it. There's no way to call or to say, "Hey, what do I do?" And that's sort of where I think, for especially newbies, right? Because even experienced people have lost their crypto. I won't
Yep.
say any names. Guilty as charged. And if you can have a platform where, if you have those gains, you can put it over and know that it's safe. And I know that you guys have the highest level of security when it comes to cold storage, warm and hot, making sure that everything at all times is working safely. If someone loses access to their account, they can actually reach out to support. And support from my end, I've had a great experience. I actually just reach out as I'm creating content. I want to learn more. Tell me about how to find these transactions. What's a settlement fee? Because there are all these just different verbiages. So as I go down and as I create more content, I want to be able to explain to a user who wants to come on and use it. Oh, look, Craig O's using it. From your end, when someone loses, access to their account, and I know that you have 2FA set up, so maybe we're talking about two things. One is security. The second is 2FA. Let's talk about security first. How important is that for you guys in protecting your clients and also the funds that CoinZoom holds?
Yeah, that was right at the foundation of the company. We knew from the beginning that that was absolutely critical to making everything work. And we also kind of, along with having people go through a KYC process, we also introduced many of our customers to two-factor authentication. They'd never done it before, didn't know what it was, and that's just vital in today's world. You can't just secure something with the username and password. You know, it's just not secure enough for what we want. So we enforce that. We make everybody have 2FA set up. So if your funds are going to leave your wallet, then it's on you. And that was number one. And then we obviously use 2FA in almost everything we do on the back end. If you're going to get into systems, there's 2FA, so we know that the person that's getting into the system, they're supposed to be there. The way that the approvals and the funds move between, as you mentioned, warm wallets, hot wallets, storage wallets, cold wallets, all that. That's all done as well. Not only multi-signature, but there's 2FA pieces in place there as well, using both pins and biometrics and all the stuff. So
Yep. Yep. You have to have a fortress because
lots of layers.
the hackers are getting good. I mean, look, we have our Google Drive. Just the other day, someone tried to send me a request so that they could access one of my Google Drives where I have some of my files, and I rejected it, blocked it. But the fact is that the AI, maybe in part, along with being able to skim much faster different file names and actually disguise it as a file when in actuality it's malware. Malware gets introduced onto your computer, it gets your keystrokes, and you've got a major problem. Uh, Let me throw this next one to you. What are the advantages from your end, right? I bring over Ethereum and I'm spending Ethereum in real time. What are the advantages, do you think, of spending crypto directly instead of converting it to fiat first? Or is that sort of not in line with what your thoughts are on spending
I,
that?
I think that for me personally, it's what I said earlier. It's a way to reverse dollar cost average. If I
I like
have to guess, I know that I want to take some profit off the table. I want to spend whatever coin it is. I don't want to have to say, well, I think I'm going to spend $1,000 this month, so let me you know s- sell $1,000 at the beginning of the month, and then hope that I sold at the top. I'd rather just like take it off the table incrementally.
Yeah, and I like that. I think we should see one from Biggie. Security on CoinZoom seems pretty solid. Biggie, like you, like me, I'm loving it. I'm having a great time. I rest easy. It's not one of the wallets I'm checking first thing in the morning. And again, for everybody who's listening in, and I do want to actually talk to you a little bit about this. All of my holdings, other than what I'm willing to lose, are in cold wallets. My seed phrase is offline. I verify every single transaction. I don't move. How do you say it? I don't move recklessly anymore. I used to just, oh yeah, I'll go mint this, I'll go mint that.
Yeah.
I don't do that as fast. Let me ask from your end, do you have, not specific, and I believe that security is, obscurity is the best form of security. So lightly I ask, have you played around with some of the DeFi wallets out there, minting, holding, cold wallet, hot wallet? Have you played around with a little bit on that?
I have, and it's always a little bit nerve wracking. So it's it
The fact
it
that it's nerve wracking coming from you, it says a lot right now, you know?
yeah, it'll get there, and it's not that it's not going to work. It's that I'm just nervous about those kind of things. Like, am I doing this right? Am I on the right website? Is the URL correct? Is you know all the stuff. You
Yep.
just got to double check and check and
Yeah.
because the consequences are you lose your coins. If you do it wrong, you lose your coins. So,
100%.
dip your toe into it. Spend a little bit of money for that first transaction,
Yep.
and that sucks to
Yeah.
pay a high fee,
Yep.
but then you're dealing with someplace that you're going to get the coins converted or bridged or whatever you're doing.
Yeah. And by the way, the true definition, anybody who's listening into this and you, whether you agree or not, the true definition of a cold wallet is you don't hook it up to anything. You can swap within the app, but that's still not cold. Cold protocol is sending and receiving only. I can't say that enough. In October of last year, I learned a very valuable lesson. I was humbled by it, Paxton.
Mm.
I had everything in my hot wallets. Keylogger had about 30 days to work on me, and literally woke up on Halloween morning. I was going downstairs of all things to meditate. And all I could see is stuff coming out of my wallet and that feeling of helplessness. And so one of the things that really attracted me last year, and I kept fading the word fading. I'm 48. I'm using the word fading. I kept being like, yeah, okay, Ron, whatever this coins. He sent me a bunch of Zoom tokens. He's like, Craig, try this out. I love his morning show on X, Crypto Bull Ron. For those of you tuning on X, just incredible human being, but also just runs a great space with Kev for King and with Enzo. So they do a great space. And so I created a video for them. And as a thank you, Ron sent me some. He's like, go set up this CoinZoom account. I was like, what is this? I was like, I already have Coinbase. And no disrespect, Coinbase is great. They're doing their thing. I think it's great when you have some of the regulated crypto exchanges that have a good reputation, that aren't going anywhere, that are not going to fold, bringing in more users. That's a win for everyone if we can bring people in. And then hopefully they love the logo. They like what we're doing. We like the content we're creating. And they're like, you know what? Let me try this out. Let me download this app. Because that's what it takes. That's part of the social currency or the mind share that we all often talk about. Let's talk a little bit about Bitcoin.
Okay.
We had mentioned before the show about ETFs and sort of where normal cycles will run in this 4-year period. And it'll close down. People will be building up. There'll be a bunch of builders on X and YouTube, but it's not that heavy shilling. Here we are. Bitcoin has 5-6 times broken new price highs in the past month and a half alone. It's just been phenomenal. From your end, sitting out as the chief technology officer, building one of the best US regulated crypto exchanges in the world, my personal opinion, when you look at what Bitcoin's doing, what are your thoughts? And, do you think we're going to see an altcoin season that's short-lived? What are your thoughts around Bitcoin right now?
I think this cycle, I think nobody really knows because, as we were talking about earlier, the Bitcoin ETFs kind of launched us into this bull run season that we've been in.
Correct.
But when you've got nation states talking about strategic reserves of Bitcoin, going back to the fundamental principles of the Bitcoin standard and the scarcity, the hardness of the money of Bitcoin, if nation states really start jumping in here, who knows, the price could go anywhere. I mean, you've got Michael Saylor buying stuff, and he'll look like he's an amateur when if nation states and central banks start jumping in. So, and if one of the big ones does that, then all of them are going to have to follow suit because, again, the scarcity, the hardness of Bitcoin, you're not going to be able to afford to miss that. So, and all coin seasons, it'll happen. People will take money off the table when Bitcoin goes up. They like to, flip their Bitcoin and then go buy their favorite altcoin, and there'll be some of those that happen. But you, in my opinion, you need to know what that project is, because just shooting money all over the place, I think, that you're really gambling. And if you know the project and you're confident what they're doing, then great, and put some money in there. Take some profit and go over there.
We were talking the other day about RWAs,
Mhm.
AI plays, and we were talking about memes. I love memes because they're really heavily built around community. And what's up, Wiz? I see you. It's always great to see in the YouTube channel who's coming in. And so we were talking about RWAs, real world assets. And I love the idea, the word utility, right? It's an overused word, but it has meaning when you can have access to something, a product or a service. Hence why I love CoinZoom, because in real time, I'm actually able to keep my crypto moving. grab a cup of coffee, those types of things. But as it relates to RWAs, I started going through the websites, and my good friend ChatGPT and I, we just team up late at night, and I'll kind of like look at these websites, and I'm thinking to myself, we need to get people involved. We need to get people onboarded. So when I'm going to do RWA plays or AI, and this is my personal opinion, I'm taking smaller gambles. If I'm going to take a big gamble, it's going to be on the meme communities like behind me, Pepe, Landwolf on ETH, Andy, Brett or Brett. Some of the best blockchain, or at least my personal opinion, the best blockchain in the world, and it's my personal opinion, is Multiverse X. That being said, the mind share lies right now with Solana and Ethereum. And those are things that I take awareness of. And if we see this meme run, well, that's great. How many people are going to get caught up on greed? How many people are going to take profits? But outside of the money part of it, how are people building in community, right? Like the way that we're communicating biweekly, we're running our CoinZoom spaces. We're getting people involved. We're talking about it. I've sent today. I sent Zoom token to 3 different people within the space, and I was like, "Hey, this is for you. I don't have any expectation. If you show up, Gigi, shout out to you. I'd love it. You know, let people engage. Let people be a part of the community. Let them feel something special, because you can have the best product, the best service, the best blockchain, but you have to be able to draw that social currency. And that is so incredibly important to get people involved. So there are certain cryptos that I collect. From your end, and again, you've been really focused on the technology side of it. Now I assume obviously you have your CoinZoom account and you have some cryptos in there. You played a little bit in the DeFi space. And as you said, as tech heavy as you are, and the team that you have around you that are developing these things, you even tread lightly, or this level of caution. If we can, I just want to revisit the 2FA, because there's a couple different things on the 2FA that you have in CoinZoom. Can you break that down for us, sort of that security protocol, and why it should make a user like myself or a new user onboarding, why it should make them rest easy at night knowing their crypto is safe with you guys?
Yeah, 2FA really is something that you kind of have with you. So there's the things you know, and then the things you have. And so you could literally know the user my username and my password to my CoinZoom account. You could try to log into my CoinZoom account, but when it prompts you for that second factor authentication, you're going to be dead in the water. You could walk up to my computer that's already logged in as me, and then you try to empty my Bitcoin or whatever from the wallet. It's going to prompt you for that 2FA, and you're not going to be able to move any money off the platform. So that's what it does for you. And I will give you guys a sneak peek. We're working on some stuff to enhance our 2FA, to make it easier in our own app to be able to authenticate and use, enhance more of the biometrics capabilities of the modern phones, to supplement that 2FA as well. So we'll probably still have, the traditional 2FA we have now, but it'll be easier to onboard using your device itself as an onboarding authentication. So again, you can't go to the computer or somebody else's computer and log in and do that stuff, because now your device itself, our app, becomes part of that 2FA chain to serve the same purpose. So we're working on that. Hopefully we'll have that fairly soon, but that's a little sneak peek for you guys.
It was funny. I had a question positioned around how do we make crypto truly user friendly? And I think the answer lies in the fact that CoinZoom does it. I mean, I'm living proof. I'm not the biggest tech person in the world, but it has been one of the most amazing experiences that I've had. And it's one of the things that I want to share with people, is just to let them know that I'm a user of the product. I'm not someone just sitting out there, just, running the spaces, rah, rah, rah. I'm using it in real time and having these real experiences with it. And I think if crypto sits stagnant, you're playing the game of who gets out first and who gets left holding the bag. I don't want to play that game. I want to see everybody, taking some wins as the market's doing well, and building not just wealth, but building knowledge, building relationships and connections, because to me, that's the ultimate utility. If you said, Craig, I can give you X amount of crypto, or we can build a good relationship, I would choose the good relationship. because without that, we have absolutely nothing. I love the fact that you're bringing in forth an easier way to have our devices authenticate a little bit easier for the 2FA. But I will say it is a very easy process to onboard. I did it at the beginning of the year. I'm sorry, at the end, it was December. I went away with my family, and I had ordered the credit card because I couldn't off ramp the money. This is the exact story. I couldn't off ramp the money. I was just going to send, I had like $800 in Zoom token. I was like, I'm just going to spend it. And I couldn't get it off there for whatever reason. I just got lazy. Maybe I could have, whatever, I could have swapped it and sent it, but it wasn't about that. There was a reason that happened. I always say certain things are kismet. They're meant to be. So I said, all right, fine. I'll just get the debit card and I'll just use the debit card and I'll just spend it in real time. And while we were away on our family vacation trip, our ski trip, I started using it and I was like, whoa. And then I started looking through and I was like, wait, I can send Ethereum here. I can send Solana here and I can spend that in real time. And I had the gray card. I had the first card. So to be able to do that at that time was just like that light bulb went off. And I was like, oh, this is cool. It was kind of like discovering crypto for me in 2016 when Coinbase had Ethereum, Litecoin, and Bitcoin. And I was like, this is just absolutely amazing. We've had, an engaging conversation. We're coming up into our last like 15 minutes. What are some things that you want to share out there with the community of people who are maybe have other centralized exchanges, which should be really looking at us from a standpoint of utilizing CoinZoom as their go-to crypto exchange?
Yeah, I guess before we go there, though, Craig, I think what you were just saying about you're a real world user, and that's why we like working with you. This is the first time that you and I have done one of these, but the other people at CoinZoom that you've worked with and you've had contact with, both employees and stuff at CoinZoom, but also our other customers that you have worked with, like you mentioned. That's the kind of people that we want to represent us as well. Like you're not just a hired gun. You've actually done it. You've been there. You've got the real world experience, and so I think that's what really leads us to. If you've been using another exchange, in this space, it's a small world, and they've done great stuff, and I appreciate what they've done because they've expanded the whole ecosystem for everybody. The tide in the harbor is rising, and it's helping everybody. But I think if you come to CoinZoom, you're going to find features that you don't find other places. The platform is stable and fast because of our background that we've built stuff on, and I think you're going to pay lower fees in general than pretty much most other places doing most things. And those things, Coinbase is great, but they're a great competitor to have because when you really dig into what you're paying to do the same things we're doing, we're a lot cheaper.
I got to speak with the team at the beginning of the year. First conversation was with Todd. Second conversation was with Fee. Third conversation was with Adrian. Fourth conversation with Ben. Fifth conversation was with you. And that doesn't even mention the number of times that I've spoken to support on the phone, on a Google Meet. So to say that, to say how impressed I was and was just like, yeah, this is something I want to stand behind, because as a content creator, I've interviewed some of the most notable NFT communities, some of the biggest tech builders in the space. And that's been, quite an honor to actually pick their brain. As we were saying before it came on, Ordinals is something I'm really excited about. I'm liking what that protocol has to offer on Bitcoin. And I love non-fungible tokens. And as you said, everything is going to be tokenized. And so early on, just a little bit of reading, if it's one page a day, this is one, someone that's a normie that's, hooked in on YouTube that caught this channel, came through on the algo, and they're listening in, start to learn about the space. You can follow me, check out CoinZoom, but start to really educate yourself, because if you find yourself, as I say, ahead of the meta, it puts you at the forefront from not only enriching yourself with education, but also potentially enriching yourself financially. That being said, I want to be really clear. Never flex. I mean, we've seen kidnap and ransom attacks and all these other things. Be very smart in how you move in this space, and don't be braggadocious. Now, a couple things that I do want to talk about with you, right? Enhancing fiat on-ramps globally. What steps from your end are being taken?
Yeah. So one of the things, as we now have our global debit card that can go into, I think it's 152 countries. Um, those people in those countries, they can receive money from Zoomi, and there's a big remittance market out there. But they also have, they want to move their fiat onto the platform so that they can participate in the digital economy as well. And so that's one of our big objectives this year, is to get, lots of these things in place, especially through South America, um, Mexico, Central America, and they have. It's not like being in the U.S. The way that they move money around, and their systems are different, and so we'll be adding a lot of new features that are country specific to be able to move money onto the platform from those other countries.
I'm excited, and I'm also looking forward to sharing some of those features as they come up, because it allows for me to create more content around talking about how user friendly it is, the different features, the Zoom token. The first video that we did was about how I used it in real time on my vacation and how incredible that experience was. Simplifying customer onboarding, right? And I know we talked a little bit about this. Let's maybe just dive in just a little bit if we can. What friction points are you most focused on with that onboarding process?
We've invested a lot in recently in uh, making our facial recognition and stuff like that better, easier to use, more accurate. The document scanning better. Again, same thing, being able to quickly identify the real customers from the bad guys, and bring them on board. So that's already in works, and we're constantly tuning that and trying to make it better and better. Um, and then one of the next things is that 2FA solution. As we've gone out to customers and talked to them and gotten feedback from them in the field, if you're brand new, and what we're finding is there's people that are brand new not only to crypto, but they're just not that tech. They're not very techy, and they want to participate. They've heard stuff about Bitcoin. They understand. Oh, this debit card, I can send my mom money in Mexico, and she doesn't know anything about this stuff. How do we make that easier for her? So she's got a phone. Let's make it easier. So those are the steps we're taking, is to make that process for the mom in Mexico to be able to scan her ID, recognize her as who she is, get her onboarded, and then make her sign up process easier for her.
And that's the next, actually, we have a video coming out this week that talks about a daughter sending her mom money. So
Great.
that was really cool with the Zoom feature. I think that's pretty powerful. Facial recognition. It's all these little things that people don't understand behind the scenes, that it's not just as simple as your phone doing it. It also is the application that has to work in tandem together to make these things an actual reality. And these are the things from your end, whether it's user experience, how things are being settled out, in which we won't even dive into that. But I think it's really cool when you have the order book. You guys talk to me a little bit about, and then I do want to talk to the third last point that we have, which is building partner integration solutions. But let's talk a little bit about market makers from your end. What are your thoughts on market makers? Why are they important? And is there a strategy for CoinZoom around that?
Yeah, market makers are super important because they're willing to basically take risks and provide liquidity in the market that maybe the normal users aren't. And they're there 24/7, 365 days a year, um, publishing rates to us. And we've got quite a few of these industrial or institutional liquidity providers that do that with us today. But we can expand that, and we've considered doing that. We haven't felt that's a priority yet for us, but we can always go out to more of them and blend them into our order book. The plumbing's already there for us, and so we can do that fairly easily and enhance our liquidity from there. Um,
Love
so
that.
they're super important, because when you swipe your card, you want to be able to get a good price for what you're selling. Um,
100%. And local and interoperable are the keys to mass adoption. So I'm really excited to see what these next 5 years hold. And that's the other thing, is that I think in this space, people only look at week to week. We say a day in Web3 is sort of like a year in regular life,
mhm.
because it's so manic and you're pulled in and everybody's excitement. And, from the content end, you can see that I want to sell something or an idea that's honest, something that people can resonate and connect with, and something I get at night as a dad of two and a husband, I can put my head on my pillow and say, this feels right. This feels good. And that's one of the things in this space that we want to see more of that. Because I also believe that it gives people, especially on X, it's people's ability to sell an idea or a concept and how they work a room. Some of the best hosts are people that actually know how to connect and build those relationships. And a lot of those relationships are built in the DMs. So I highly invite everybody who's in on the space and on YouTube, start to follow and engage with CoinZoom. Please feel free to follow me as well. Far from a hired gun, when I had those conversations, I was like, how can we collaborate and work together in a meaningful way that really gets that message out there, that really shares my love of being able to spend my crypto in real time effortlessly. I can't show this enough and just say, this is my card, and it doesn't have my seed phrase on it. So, last thing I want to get to is building partner integration solutions. What kind of partnerships are you most excited about? And I want to surface touch that because I know that you guys are working on a lot of big things behind the scenes, some of the things that can't be spoken about publicly. But tell me a little bit about what building partner integrations look like from your standpoint.
Yeah, so we're talking to some large corporations that are recognizing that hey, this digital economy is real. This crypto stuff, this Bitcoin stuff is a real thing now, and they want to be part of that. And so we're working on stuff to help facilitate that and bring really global mass adoption in places that will uh, help their customers, which those customers end up becoming our customers, and grow CoinZoom itself in that process. But
Yeah.
really refining things, making it, integrating with their apps, their devices, stuff like that to really bring crypto to the world. We want, you know, uh, the billions of people in the world to be able to benefit from this wave.
No, I love it. I love it. And I think that's going to be incredibly important. And I'm really excited to see, you said 500,000 users worldwide right now. What happens when it gets to 1 million, 2 million, 3 million? You have a couple things going on. One
Yep.
is
Yep.
better use of the platform, easier onboarding, better 2FA. All those things improve, right? More money, more ability, more security. Just again, security is great, but just all these things just catapult more rewards being earned. Your Zoom tokens creates by more users, potentially more value. Again, not speculation. If you're not utilizing the card, I don't say go out and buy Zoom token. That's not it. But if you're utilizing it, you're being rewarded in the crypto, what we call the frequent flyer miles, as Todd had
Yeah.
said, as in your Zoom token. I've had an incredible conversation with you. I don't know from your end. By the way, Tony, how are we coming in okay with the mic? Shabbat was saying I sounded like a robot. Am I good?
On the Twitter Spaces, or are you saying in
I guess
YouTube?
it was on Twitter
I will
Spaces.
double
I'm
check
assuming.
right now.
He goes, bro, you sound like a robot. I hope I don't sound like a robot. As we're wrapping this up, at least you sound good. He didn't say you, so this is good, Paxton. We're going to double check that.
You sound great to me.
Thank you. Any thoughts from tonight's podcast with you? Any thoughts that you want to leave people on? Any questions that you might have for me? Your last.
I appreciate all the work you're doing, Craig. I mean, it's just getting the word out there. Actually using the card is important, and I think I think we're really onto something special here. Being able to do this in 152 countries, have the card out there. I think it's going to bring a lot of. I mean, fee. I don't know if I want to quote this, but the remittance market alone is crazy. What people pay for fees, I think it's like 6.5%. We can do that for free basically through Zoomy and our debit cards, and that will save people. I think the number we've looked at before was like $50 billion a year, which is that's more than a lot of countries have in GDP, and that's helping the people that need it the most, that are in the lowest circumstances in many cases. They've got people that are here in the U.S. They're sending money home. They need the help, and be able to save them fees. And safety is another thing. I've got this. I've got a lot of daughters. I'll put it that way, and so I'm pretty protective of girls and women in general. And there's a lot of women that go to these places to pick up cash on the other end, and it's risky for them. And if we can provide a service that saves them from being scared, even, then hey, it's totally worth it. Like, they can use their debit card, go to an ATM where they feel comfortable instead of stand in line to get cash from something. It's all that stuff that we want to do and support.
No, I love that. And I think it's powerful. And I think you're mission driven as well as the team. I want to thank you so much for coming on to the podcast this evening. Look forward to creating some more great content. We will have another space next week. I'm looking forward to that. We got a special guest, someone who's pretty well known in the space. So I'm expecting that to have a really massive turnout. I want to thank everybody who came in on X, on YouTube. Feel free to subscribe to my channel. Most importantly, start learning about CoinZoom. And if you're not in crypto at all, this is your best way to on-ramp and get a firsthand experience. And on that note, everyone have an amazing evening. Paxton, thank you so much for being on Craig's podcast.
Thanks, Craig. This was great. Appreciate it.
All right, my friend. Thank you so much for watching Craig's Crypto Corner, the best in Web3, blockchain, NFT, and cryptocurrency technologies. Craig signing off.